Thank you for joining us today, Aditya. The floor is open to you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chaitanya, for hosting this session. Let me just present my screen. Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Aditya, and I'm going to take you through a little bit of my journey at NUS Singapore and how it all started and how it went and everything. So, a little bit about me first. So, I am a Gujarati. I'm staying in Mumbai. Professionally, I am a chemical engineer slash project engineer, but I also enjoy daytime trading and teaching. And I bond over painting, cooking, trekking, traveling. This is just some of the stuff that I do. And about my BITS journey, so I am a fellow BITSian, just like all of you, BITS alumni, of course, from Pilani campus. So I was a student from 2020 to 24, and I studied chemical engineering. And for the departments, I was in ADP department, and for my clubs, I was in ComHub, CHEA, ACC. I was also a PMP mentor, and I was also part of the PARC team. So if any of you are in these, you can also you might have heard my name or something. This is a photo from ADP. Maybe you recognize some of your seniors or some of your friends from this photo. And let's talk about, since this is a talk about like masters and how to prepare for it, let's start with the first thing I think you should start with is deciding which intake to target. I think most students here would be interested or at least curious about pursuing masters or something like that, and that's why you have joined the session. So first of all, you need to think whether you want to go for further studies. uh, so you need to decide which intake to target, which degree you want, which kind of courses you want to go for, because some courses are for 4 years, some are for 2 years. It depends on the degree, it depends on the college. Even if they're teaching the same thing, it might be a little bit longer. So if you're, as you can see, I started my journey immediately after, like, I graduated from BITS in 2024. So I immediately went for my master's, which was for about 1.5 years. So I didn't take any gap, or I didn't do any kind of job in between, or I didn't go for placements. So you need to take that decision early. And if you want to go for a master's or like further studies, even let's say a PhD, then you need to start preparing by third year, or like maybe you need to start thinking by second year end or something like that. And then the next step would be to identify which exams are super important, because like every every college has a different requirement. It's not like you just give all the exams and then decide which college you want. That would be less efficient, I believe. And reaching out to seniors, and not just seniors, people who are already in those colleges, that is very important. Because let's say if you're talking to me, so I have just graduated from NUS, so I think that would be the most latest news you will like get, or first hand experience that you will get to listen. And not just like seniors from BITS, but if you can reach out to anyone else who can help you with your applications or something like that, definitely you should reach out to them. And then you can start drafting your resumes and SOPs and everything. So for your documents, I think you'll require your resumes, SOPs, and LOAs, which will be given by your professors. And yes, you can start that after you decide how you want to, if you can like make a plan how your next year is going to look like or something like that. Also, as you can see, this is like a very very short presentation, and it does not have like, I cannot cover everything because it's like a 15 minute presentation. So definitely like put your questions in the chat box, or whatever, or you can also like reach out later on. So that is how, like a very super brief on how to prepare or how to think for the studying, or how to plan, or when you should plan. So let's start with the NUS journey. So from bits, I didn't take any I didn't take any like time for get doing a job or going for placements or something like that. My next step was going directly for my masters. So my masters was NUS, which is the National University of Singapore, and my master's degree was MS in chemical engineering. I started in like mid 2024, so my intake was August 24, and I finished by 2025 December. So basically 2 months ago. And this is a map of Singapore, and this is the red dot that you can see, that is the NUS campus. So about Singapore, it's a very small country. It's a developed country. It's about the size of Mumbai. If many of you who haven't been, and there are four national languages, and Tamil is a national language, which is surprising to many people, also me, because I didn't know about it. English, Malay, Chinese, and Tamil. The culture of Singapore is very different, and the food is different. The people, their thinking, everything is very very different from India. The good thing is it's very close to India, and that is also one of the factors that you can consider when you're choosing a university. It is clean, it is super, super safe, and I'll just mention it that there's no drugs and nothing of that sort that some people, if you want, like, yeah, I just put it out here. So, about the campus life of NUS, the amenities are quite nice. There's a lot of places to study um, on the campus, and there's a lot of eateries. You can find good food. There's a lot of greenery in Singapore in general. Also, like as you can see the map of Singapore, there's like all this border is Malaysian border, and Malaysia is super close. A lot of the connectivity of Singapore is super close. So people who come there usually like spend a lot of time traveling, which is also like kind of what I did. So that's the fun part. There's something or the other always going on, some kind of event, or there are some concerts going on sometimes. They don't have like huge fests as bits. I have seen that difference. But yeah, they have a lot of events going on. Like if you wander around, you'll find something or the other. Like I guess similar to bits. And clubs and activities, they have a lot of clubs and a lot of activities, but it depends on what you want to do, what you like to do. Staying on campus, for master students, if you're going for PhD, your situation will be different. If your degree is different, your situation will be different from mine. For me, I was doing my master's, so master students do not get accommodation on campus. They have very limited accommodation because it's a small country. So you have to rent in Singapore, like outside campus. So I used to stay like maybe 20-25 minutes away, and I used to walk. You can also take a bus if like depends on where you are staying, but it's I guess quite convenient. Renting in Singapore has become very expensive, not just for us, for everyone, not just for students. And the campus life, I would say the people who like run NUS, again it's like part of the government as well because it's a national university, but they really care for students, and they will really take care of you and your, like if you have any issues, if you have any mental issues, if you're facing like difficult times, and just like preventive care as well. So they really care about students, and that is what I experienced. So acads of NUS, it is like one step above the BITS academic level. It is not, I would say it is not super difficult as like for my course. It depends on the course, of course. Some students feel like, especially like architecture students, I have heard that it's really difficult for them. Some people say it's really competitive. So it depends on the course. I found it to be okay. It wasn't like, it was similar to what I would expect from like a master's course. And the coursework is quite relevant to the industry. It's not like very outdated. It depends on what kind of courses you choose. So the system is similar to bits. You can pick up your courses, you can adjust your timetables and stuff. For SOPs and research opportunities, if you can find like if you put in the effort to find and do a SOP, like I did a SOP, I did a project which is equivalent to doing a SOP in BITS. So there are quite a lot of opportunities. They have good facilities as well, and the professors and all will most cases support you. And about industry exposure, some courses offer some kind of like internships, but you have to like find the internship yourself. I'll get back to that. Yeah. So experience, my experience was with Racket. So basically, you can say that it was kind of like PS2, but I had to find the company myself and get offer letter myself, everything. But it was a really good experience. Like Racket is a really good company, especially the plant in Singapore is super nice from a chemical engineering point of view, from an exposure point of view. It's super nice. The people were also quite nice, and I got like a lot of learning. And basically I get to see how good it can be if you are working in Singapore, and if you have like good work culture in your company, then there's a lot of learning and there's a lot of exposure. I guess I got like a more exposure than I got in PS2 as well, because everything in Singapore is like global. If you live in Singapore for some time, you'll start thinking of things from a little bit different perspective. It's a really small country with a lot of connectivity. There's people flying in and flying out every day. So yeah, a little bit other topics that I want to like give an overview about the fees of my course, and it depends on what kind of course you want, and also the fee structure will depend on what kind of course your school offers. So mine was like a lump sum. You just, they have the fees decided and you just pay it. But for my roommate, who was also in NUS, he was supposed to pay depending on what courses he chose. So there's no one formula. You have to go through their website and everything for your own particular case, and then you can figure it out. About scholarships, scholarships are also quite difficult for NUS, and there's like a bunch of people, only like very few, a couple of people maybe, who got scholarships for their master's courses. So I would say you can assume that you would not get a scholarship. Part-time jobs, there's a lot of opportunities, some from NUS, and you can also find like a small part-time jobs outside. And many people like, it's good to manage your finances and like learn how to do it early on. So you can, I did a little bit of part-timing in NUS itself, because I thought it would give me a good learning opportunity and like opportunities to connect with people. So I also enjoyed the work. So if you get it, if you like find it, definitely you can put your time into it, and if you learn something, that's great. About placements, there's no placements as such in NUS. And once you graduate, you like, the university will support you to an extent, but you have to find your jobs yourself. And about the job market, which is also one of the important things, right now the job market globally is down, and Singapore is also facing that. So uh, It is a little bit difficult, but again, it depends on your degree, it depends on your skill sets, it depends on how you can reach out to people and everything. And the main thing, which is the biggest challenges, I particularly found that my biggest challenge was connecting with people, because they have a different kind of culture. They have a different culture in Singapore, and they have a different kind of mindset. So you will, if you go to Singapore, I have heard this from a lot of people that that might be an issue. Like you need to put your you need to put yourself out there, and put in the effort to go ahead and like connect with people, and find out who to connect with. And I've left like two boxes here empty so that I can put any questions that you guys have, like, just here. So that is the, oh yeah, like, final remarks. It is about who you are and what you want. So it is not just you can, like, yeah, you got an offer letter and you pick up your bags. First you decide what you want, and then you think about it, whether you want to go and you want to live there, you want to take up that degree. Second thing, it is not very easy to leave your country and friends and go and live in another country, but that difficulty is where you will learn and grow the most. So I will definitely recommend, but don't think that it's going to be super super smooth and super super easy. There will be some challenges and there will be some things that you need to figure out, but in that process, I think that is where you will learn the most. So yeah, that is all from my side. Please, I know it is a super short presentation, but please, if you can like follow up with any questions, that would be great.
Thank you, Aditya. Uh, we'll move on with some questions that are asked by the attendees of the talk. The first question is, what motivated you to pursue a master's in chemical engineering after BITS? Was there a particular experience during your college?
So actually, I enjoyed chemical engineering. I I think there is a lot of scope and it is not properly understood by everyone. So there's a lot of scope, as in from an industry point of view, because there's in India there's a lot of opportunities for, like, plants are coming up every now and then. So my interest specifically is in plant design and plant like development. Plant is as in like factory development and factory design and stuff like that. So there are projects coming up. India is a big country, if I'm talking about India, and there's always something or the other coming up. Outside India, there are some plants like in developed countries, or like let's say Singapore, and for example. So they already have their plants, and the plant that even I was working on, it is already like fully automated. So they have they their challenge is keeping up with the technology. India is still in the stage that we are developing, they're putting up new plants, updating old plants. So projects are coming up every now and then, and uh, let's put it like very plainly, there is a lot of money in that as well, which, of course, if you're like still a student, it is difficult to grasp. But having a master's puts you in, like, it's not just about having a degree, it's about like, I did like a lot of courses, different kinds of courses, which are more which is like people are asking for those courses, that do you know things about ML, do you know things about AI. So there are, NUS will offer you courses, and it is up to you to take up such courses and do the like difficult stuff or the new stuff or whatever. And that increases your value, that like develops your skill set as well. So I guess that kind of answers it.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. Another question is that masters require a lot of research experience during your undergraduate. What
Hmm.
was the research exposure you got during BITS and how did you manage to get it?
Okay, so while I was in BITS, I had one research project that was on proteins, and I also had like another, which is now a publication. I also had another project that was more on like, you can say, the calculation part of chemical engineering. or calculation part of plant design, something like that. So I've put it all on LinkedIn if you want to like go into depth and how it was. So yeah, the those two projects are like, especially the one I did on proteins was super in depth. It was a whole literature review, so that gave me a lot of experience. So if you are in second year or third year, you can like plan it out that way. You can take up SOP. One of them was my SOP, so you can take up a SOP or something like that. And it's not like you require a lot of research experience, but you require, and whenever you are applying for a university, they will not look for one point. They will look for the overall picture. You don't need to like have the best, like maybe like the best one point. You need to have like good lot of points, something like that.
Thank you for the detailed answer. Yeah, another question asked by one of the attendees is, what do universities look for in the profile of students for admission? How to prepare for GRE and other exams similar to GRE? What can we prepare for?
First of all, as I mentioned that if you think about it, whether you want to give GRE or not, because I prepared for GRE and I gave GRE, but when I was submitting my application, I did not share my GRE scores, even though they were like good, but I did not share it with NUS because you need to pay as well to like share it to NUS. So first of all, decide whether you want to give those exams. Secondly, if you want to give those exams, you need to like preparation. You need to like plan it out. You'll need a few months to like have a really good score. If you maybe you can have a target. For me, I don't know what's the total score right now. For me, I think it was 340, and I was targeting 320 plus. So plan it out something like that. How much you require, and based on that you can prepare. And I think preparing for GRE that would be a whole different discussion in itself. It will take up like 15 minutes or so. But yeah, you can, in short, I can say you can find resources online. That is what I did, and it's quite effective. And I was being a little bit regular, like I took out time every day, not a lot of time. Maybe I assume you're like a little bit smart, so you can put in 1 or 2 hours per day. That's more than enough.
Thank you for the questions and the presentation. Now we'll move on to our next speaker, Mr.
Thank
Arnav
you so
Singh.
much.
Our next speaker is Mr. Arnav Singh. Arnav is currently pursuing a master's in advanced motorsport engineering at Cranfield University in the UK. Cranfield University, my bad, sorry. Thank you for joining the talk today, Arnav. You can move on. You can
Yeah.
present your. Thank you.
All right. Hi there, guys. I finished my master's at Cranfield University in MSc Advanced Motorsport Engineering. I started September 2024. I finished September 2025. And since then, I've been working in London as a mechanical design engineer and simulation engineer. What I would like to start as, I don't have a fully prepped PPD because of a very crazy week going on, but I'll just quickly go with how the entire path looks like, and you guys can take notes. And I'll just drop my LinkedIn after the message, and I think it was already dropped, so you can just text me there afterwards. But building on to what everyone has said, that the preparation for attending, like doing your masters, I'll say starts around the end of your second year. You need to have a clarity that if you want to do a masters, why do you want to do a masters? Uh, in my experience, I've encountered two kinds of people. One, who want to work abroad. Two, who want to pursue a higher education just because of exploring engineering. And third, that they want to explore what else can be done, right? So I would like really stress on everyone to ask themselves this question, that why do they want to do a master's? And if doing a master's is gonna make them achieve what they want to. Once this question is answered and you feel like you want to go ahead, there's a few steps that you need to prepare yourself. to develop a good overall profile for your applications. So that includes obviously your CGPA. Second includes your SOP. Then includes your projects. Then includes what your if you have any internship or work experience during the life at bids. And the last part is how good you communicate all of that to somebody who you're applying to. So when it comes to CGPA, quite straightforward. 8 plus, I'll say, is the minimum bar. It's not a hard limit. I've seen people get good universities below 8, but I'll say that if you want to play safe and if you want to know that okay, CGPA is not going to have an issue on my application, 8 plus is a good bar. And when it gets to, I'll say, the universities like Ivy League universities, 9 plus is the bar. So, for example, like universities like Stanford, University of Michigan, these universities below 9 is, I'll say, is like very bleak chances. So once that happens, CGPA is checked out. Then comes your projects. Projects from second year onwards, I'll suggest everybody to do at least one SOP or LOP, DOP, whichever is in favor, but something which is truly unique. Like Aditya mentioned that he did a project. Similarly, I did one on aluminum batteries. I did that for, I think I did that in my 3-1. And then it continued onwards and turned into a research paper. So, research paper is a very big bonus on your CV. That is not something that everybody has during, at least by the end of their third year. So if you have that and you mentioned that, that gives you a very big bonus. In your CV, always when you're mentioning a project, attach its, if it's published, attach its link there, like do a hyperlink on the topic so that anybody can access it. So it's just about making your CV like stand out from what others says. Then also I forgot to mention there's another major point where it becomes a point that be a part of tech teams. If you're trying to do especially masters in mechanical, chemical manufacturing, it's very important to be part of a tech team because you have to think that the people you're competing with for those masters seat come from around the world and they bring a lot of practical experience. Yes, in India, we gain a lot of theoretical experience and we gain a lot of engineering knowledge, but the practical experience lacks, and that shows in when these kind of questions are asked during interviews and stuff. Especially for UK, you'll have interviews for your masters, especially Imperial, Cranfield. I know Oxford does it. So all these three colleges take interviews for their masters, and in these interviews, they ask you really practical knowledge-based questions, which you will only know if you have ever worked practical. I don't know about fields like computer science. I don't know about fields like electronics. I'm not a part of those, so I won't comment on it. I'm just saying from a part of mechanical engineering. So being a part of tech team like I believe IKFS, IKEA Gravity, Chris Robotics, Shell Eco, all of these teams is gonna help you big time. Then comes in that the projects that you did, you published them, you made a good CV, you were part of technical teams. Now internships can is not that important as I understand, because during our life at bits practically we only get time for 2 internships, and even one of them could or could not align well enough to be included in your CV depending on if you do a 4-1 PS or 4-2 PS. But I'd also suggest that anybody who's wanting to pursue masters should chase a thesis instead of a PS, because doing a thesis gives you again that research credibility. And at the end of the day, what these masters universities are looking for are research-minded people who are willing to innovate. So doing a thesis either in bits or outside bits, that's going to have a very big effect on your CV. Now, coming to the point that if you want to do a thesis outside of bits, you should start reaching out to people at the end of 2-2, and you should know what kind of thesis you want to do right now. So it becomes that first you figure out your topic or your rough broadband where you want to work. Then you start going through lists of professors from different universities' website. I'll just say, like, suppose if you're targeting the UK, start going through UK's website, university websites through professor profiles. See whose projects and research groups match your experience and match your liking, and mail that professor just a cold mail. The emails will be there, just a cold mail that, hey, I'm so and so. I want to pursue this. These are my current experiences. This is your exact research group and projects I'm explore like interested in, and then just reach out to them that will it be possible for me to join. Hit rate would be quite low, but you'll have to make this into a habit. As I mentioned, end of 2-2. Start making a habit of sending 5 to 10 mails out every day. I think I sent around 3 to 400 emails and heard back from two. And those are the two. At the end of the day, you only need one. So you can reach out to as many people as you want. You only need one person to respond, and that works out for you. So if that happens, there's another avenue known as MyTax, which is a research thesis in Canada. I think a couple of people from chemical engineering went there. So you can also pursue that. That is a really good avenue. It gets everything funded, it covers your research costs, everything. You go there, you do an internship for a research internship for 3 months, come back. That's a very great opportunity. Then once thesis done, everything is done, project's done, then comes a very important part of your CV, which is your SOP. The SOP should be a story about yourself, which is where you started, why you started, what you did to get where you wanted to, where are you now, what do you want to do next. These are like the 5 to 6 main questions that you want to answer in that CV in a very technical manner. It shouldn't be a story where you are basically waffling about yourself. It should be to the point that 1, 2, 3, 4, this is what I've done. 1, 2, 3, this is what I want to do. And try to mention projects or research groups in the university that you're applying to, who you're willing to join and really want to work with. Suppose if there's a space lab in Stanford that you want to join and work with because some project of theirs is really cool for you, mention that. Mention that professor's name, that lab, their exact work in around the last paragraph, and hit on it. So your structure should be first paragraph is basically your introduction. Who are you? What did you do? Second paragraph is your experiences, mostly research experiences. Third paragraph should include your miscellaneous experiences like tech teams, a bit of internship, those kind of the practical kind of work. Fourth paragraph includes again this university about the paragraph about the university and it's the research groups. And the fifth paragraph is your closing out. So this should be really crisp. Some universities have a limit of 500 words, some have 1,000 words, some have two working pages. Make sure you always stick to those limits. Never ever cross those limits. Being a bit under is fine. Never go over that. So try to follow this. All of you, I'll just drop my email also here. If any of you want, I'll send you my successful SOPs and CVs. I'll just drop an email me on that, and I'll just send that across. Lastly, once all of this is done, again, a very good point which I had forgotten earlier, the point about GRE. Do not take GRE if you don't need to. It's going to become obsolete in the next couple of years. So it's going down, its usage is going down every year, year upon year. Make sure before you apply, you make an entire spreadsheet of the universities, their degree, what that degree entails for you, what's the tuition costs, and everything you list in there. And if GRE is needed, TOEFL is needed, mention all of that because there's a lot of universities who waive even TOEFL and IELTS off for people from India who have done university in English. So make sure you look at this, and if you absolutely do need to give these tests because these tests are a big cost, and you don't need to spend on them unless you absolutely need to. As Aditya mentioned, same for me. I gave GRE. I used it at one university, and that money was well wasted. So try to follow this. Once all of this is done, a very big thing comes in terms of master, which I believe a lot of people miss out on, is calculating their costs. And that ends up hurting in because, as you can understand, in the longer run of things, the market is quite unstable right now. and finding a job can be or cannot be difficult. So, looking at your finances and planning that thing out is very important. Make a spreadsheet which includes your tuition costs and always overinflate them, never underinflate them, and think on the optimistic side. Your tuition costs, your living costs, your food and expenses, your flight costs, your visa costs, and your miscellaneous costs. Because again, we are not robots. You're gonna be there, you're gonna have some kind of social life. What is it gonna cost you? Second important question you need to ask yourself: do I want to work as a part-time whenever I go for this master's? What it entails is one, it can take time away from your studies. Two, if you can manage it and like you can create a split between the two, it's gonna have a physical toll on you. Third, if it gives you money, is that money important enough for you to trade your study time? These three questions, if you answer, and if all of these you feel positively, only then pursue a part time job. I did a part time job, but I did a part time job related to my field. I was doing motorsport engineering and I was working as a karting race engineer and mechanic. So that worked out for me. But you need to ask yourself that is doing a part time job worth it if I'm just doing it for money? Or can I just add that little bit into my loan amount and focus my time on my studies so that I'm unable to get a job and that job will anyways allow me to pay back my loan. Think about this dynamic. Don't blindly run into part-time jobs. They are a major distractor and a major performance limiter in master studies because all of us we come from India to countries where economies and currency is much stronger and going in that money race that hey yeah. So like if I say like if I used to only earn like 700-800 pounds a month, but it used to feel like it's a lot of money because just because you're a student in India, you know this thing about salaries and mechanical engineering, and you feel okay, I'm just earning like 1 lakh for nothing. So it is attractive, but it also you need to ask yourself the question that is it worth it? So answer that question only, then pursue it. Focus most of your time on your studies and try to basically make the most out of your master's experience. I was at Cranfield, which is a master's only university. My degree was super cool in my opinion. It was advanced motorsport engineering. I got a lot of experience, went to a lot of races working as race engineers, mechanics. I did karting, I did British GT, I did Formula 4, I did my internship with Mercedes. All of these sound cool, become a thing of during your master's process, but only is as good as how you make yourself out to be. At the end of the day, it's just a master's, and you can even achieve this while you're working. So you also have this avenue where after bits you can go straight into working for some company and then do a master's a year or two later. That is also completely fine, and you're gonna have the same avenue, even might be still better, because that with that work experience you're more hireable for companies after your masters. So it can be a very complex situation, but that's also an option. The last thing is just that once your master is done, job application and visa situation is very crucial for you to know. Never go into a country where you don't understand what the visa progression path is going to be. Before you enter into the country, you should know that by this timeline, I'll get this visa, then this visa, then this visa. Should never be unclear on that point. Like for UK, I'll just tell everyone, you come here, you have a 1 year masters. All masters in the UK are 1 year masters. You're on a student visa. One that visa is around for 14 months. Once that visa expires, you get a graduate visa, which costs you around 3 lakhs. You get this visa in the 3 lakh 800 is 1 lakh is the visa cost, 2 lakh is insurance cost because in the UK having national insurance is mandatory. So you get a grad visa for 3 lakhs. That gives you 2 years, even if you don't have a job, to look for a job and start a job. Once that 2 years is done, your visa expires. You need to get a PSW. You cannot get a PSW on your own. You need to be working at a company, and that company needs to sponsor you. There is absolutely no way where a PSW is achievable by yourself. It's illegal to pay for it on your own. A company needs to sponsor you, pay for you, get the visa acquired, and still hire you. But you also cannot be bound by with the company in a contract. If like the PSW is for 5 years. So it does not mean that if a company sponsor you, you need to work for them for 5 years. You can leave end of 2 years. You just need to pay them back the visa cost, which is fine when you will be earning in pounds. And if you really want to move out, it's not that difficult. So keep that in mind. Five. So 1 year of masters, 2 years of graduate visa, 5 years of PSW. Then you get an ILR, which is the indefinite leave to remain, which is kind of like the permanent residency. You need to spend 2 years on that. So total 10 years, and then you get to be a British citizen. So it's a 10-year progression path to even have the chance of being a British citizen, and the process is quite tough. So you need to ask again yourself the question that do you want to go through this? If not, look at countries which are maybe easier. Countries I know in Europe, like Netherlands, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, Japan. These are very immigrant accepting and quick paths to settlement countries just because they have a lack of talent. Not Germany per se right now, but Germany has very good political relations with India. That's why. But these other countries have very fast settlement routes. So if that's really your goal, look into these options. Especially, I'll say a very major point up here. Please, 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 if you can learn Japanese, look into Japan. I had a friend who was doing his master's with me, very good in studies, great profile. He applied to over 200 jobs in the UK, didn't land one. He applied to one job in Japan while sitting in the UK, never been to Japan, and he got the job. Japan is a country which is currently suffering for a lot from a lot of technical lacking in terms of their young talent. It's a very old economy. Like people there are like the average age of population is very old. Look into Japan if you can learn Japanese. There's great opportunities there in electronics, in mechanical, in motorsport, in computer science. Please look into that. Same goes with Singapore. If you go to NTU and US, you can have straight away pathways to Japan. So explore this option a lot. Something which I was not aware of when I was applying because nobody told me this. But this is a very good opportunity at this point, at least, and it's going to be so for the next 4 to 5 years. I can guarantee that much. So all of this is done. Course, applications, jobs afterwards. Jobs afterwards is a very uh, can't comment on it per se. It's a very tough fight just because of again the visa and everything. When again, I also like to mention like when in the UK when companies are looking to sponsor you, they are need to spend money on that, which is the license to sponsor you, and secondly the sponsorship fees, which is around a cost of 10 to 12,000 pounds for the company itself. Now, if the company doesn't need to spend that on you, they won't. So, if they have two candidates, one of them is British, one of them is you. You need this guy doesn't need a sponsorship. Okay, he's this is their minimum bar, and this guy lands here, but you land here. It's still not enough for them. They'll still go with this guy because this is good enough. So, if you need to get hired over this guy, you need to be here. That is kind of which what I was told by one of the interviews I was rejected in, and then I had talked to the interviewer after a few months when I saw him. This is what they mentioned, that if this guy is good enough, they'll always go for this guy because it costs less money to the company. And just think about it. If you were a company, you would do the same. So it's understandable. So upskill yourself, make yourself stand out. That's why, so that if they see you with a British guy, they still know that okay, going with this guy is still better. So that's the last point. Mass job hunt, I don't think so. You need to worry about it right now, and I won't stress you with it. You are all are gonna figure it out on your own when you're doing your masters. It's a very different process than masters applications, but all of us have learned dynamically enough at bits that you can figure that bit out. And of course, seniors like me, Aditya, or anybody else are always here. So you can just shoot a text to us on LinkedIn, and we'll help you with anything. At least I can help in the UK. Who's in the US can help in the US. Take the full benefit of the Bitsa community. It's a very strong anchor point when you're in a foreign country where you don't know anyone. That becomes your first family. Like in London, I know we have a Bitsa London community. All of them meet every third Friday for drinks in London. and everybody shares about what they've been doing. Anybody has any problems, any struggles, everybody looks out for them. So Bitsa community is also your very big anchor point. Please join them. Please be in touch with them beforehand. Seek guidance from people who have already been to the universities you're targeting and figure out what you want to do. And yeah, that's mostly about it. I think GRE TOEFL point was pretty well covered beforehand, so I won't go over that again. But that's basis about your masters, your application, your admission, your time during masters, and your story after the masters. If anybody wants templates for uh, I'll say SOPs, cover letters, or even my Excel workbook where I did the cost comparison for different universities, feel free to reach me out on my email, and I'll just send that across to all of you. Yeah, that's it from my end. I guess the next person can start.
Thank you for the detailed insight, Mr. Arnav. Now, moving on to our next speaker, we have Mr. Ritiien Mohan with us. Ritiien has secured a deferred MBA at Columbia Business School. It's great to have you with us, Ritiien. You can please continue with your presentation.
Hi everyone. It's so glad to see Arnav and I think Aditya have joined in. I think this is we are seeing each other through through Gmeet after like what 2 years over a SAC conversation, which is quite unexpected, but good to see you guys. Hope you are all doing well wherever you are. I think Aditya is in Singapore. Arnav I think is in UK. Uh, and yeah, good to see you both. And I'll get on with this. Thank you, first of all, SAC, for inviting us today. I was closely listening to what Arnav spoke, and Aditya couldn't join in. But Arnav, please share the Excel for cost analysis with me also. I would also love to have a look on that. That will be quite helpful for me. So to talk about deferred MBA, so it's quite different than what people generally know about MBAs. It's quite not the path that people take here in Pilani. I'll first walk you through. Before going to MBA, I want to talk a bit about myself. So I'm Ritiien. So as you know, keep it on the first slide. Yeah. I'm Ritiien. So you might know that me and Arnav are in the same batch. We're in the same batch. So we did chemical engineering together. They used to be attending classes more than I used to. But yeah, because they were more into the technical side. But talking a bit about myself, I was always interested into the business angle of things. Um, Always interested into extracurriculars, so I ended up in such positions. Luckily, got through the MBA program at Columbia, and currently I'm working as an international civil servant at the International Solar Alliance, which is an intergovernmental body which was started by PM Modi and French President Macron back in 2015. My role there is about fundraising and investing money into solar projects in Africa, mostly Africa, sometimes Asia Pacific, but quite different. Um, I had a job at Schlumberger, which you might be aware of, the infamous company. But I there was some issue there, so I ended up joining and doing something else completely different. So yeah, that's a bit about myself. To move forward, I know a lot of people have joined in today, so we're going to keep this session to the point, and I would encourage people to ask as many questions as possible, because again, like, it's just a closed room. All right, so I'll start now. With respect to MBA, the first question comes in is why MBA. Move to the next slide. Yeah, so the major factors that people look for, once you've done engineering, is, can I move to, say, consulting or finance, pivot something from, say, technical to non-technical, or maybe do something which is a mix of technical and business. So we're talking about leadership acceleration, network access. You get access to so many people from different backgrounds. And I think one of the major reasons to go for a foreign program is this: you get to know so many cool people from different countries that you would really not get a chance to see when you're in India, right? Uh, so an MBA is a very personal decision. A lot of people say that, ठीक है, I want to get into business, let's do an MBA. Or maybe I'm just bored of my job, I want to go for an MBA. But for me, MBA is a decision that you make based on the kind of network you want to build. Because more than what you learn in the degree, it's more about the kind of people you want to meet. It's not like that MBA is going to teach you finance, MBA is going to teach you mergers and acquisitions, MBA is going to teach you supply chain. It's going to give you access to people who are in those fields. Learning is, of course, very enabled right now. You could learn probably anything going online. Maybe a simple course on supply chain could make you more equipped than some of the people who have done masters in it. So it's more about the access to the kind of people you get. The next question you generally have is, should I do an MBA in India or abroad? And I think that's one of the major questions that people have from the technical masters as well. So what my answer here is to everyone, it's where you want to live in the long run. Do you see yourself settling abroad? Do you see yourself settling here? Do you feel like this is India is where you want to be after like 25, 30 years? It's a very, very personal decision, and there's nothing right or wrong about it. I personally believe it's it's where you want to live, I think. Um, Another thing is that when you have done a domestic MBA, the chances of you going for an international position is a bit lower in comparison to when you do, say, an MBA from the US or Europe. Maybe it's because they would see you as a master of the local market rather than the master of a global market. So if you see someone going to an IIM Ahmedabad and after 20 years of his or her career, they are, say, the head of Asia Pacific for Procter and Gamble globally, but Asia Pacific. Whereas the CEO might be from one of the US business schools who was working in the headquarters, say in North America, and he ended up being the global CEO. So sometimes the gap becomes to the access to the kind of people you're working around with. So again, it's where you want to live, where you see yourself. I'm not saying it's not possible for someone with an Indian MBA to make it big. Like a recent example, I talked about Procter and Gamble only. Someone from IIM Lucknow worked at PNG for like 30 years and ended up being the next, I think, chief executive officer. I'm forgetting, or this chief operating officer for the entirety of Procter and Gamble. It's possible, but it's rare. So it's where you want to be in the end. No right or wrong answer. As I was someone who wanted to, have a change of scenery, like in bits, you end up with these smart kids. Uh, and I mean, if I would have gone to an IIM Ahmedabad, I would have seen the same type of students that I saw in Pilani, right? Those IIT bits people, NIT people, same in the same classroom. I wanted a change of scenery. I wanted diversity. That's why I felt that this is the right path for me. So I would highly recommend people who want to make this decision to just read about colleges, about the kind of alumni they have produced before you decide for yourself. So the first question you need to ask yourself is, do I want to do an MBA? Second is, do you want to do it from India or abroad? Can we move to the next slide, please? Yeah. So if you say that I want to do an MBA abroad, then there are 7 business schools that you need to be aware of, which are the M7 business schools, commonly known as the Magnificent Seven. Those are Stanford, Harvard, MIT, Columbia, Wharton, Kellogg, and Chicago Booth. I've listed them down. I've listed their acceptance rates as well. See, these are way higher in comparison to what you would see for an IM. And one of the major reasons is that, the application cohort is very diverse. You get people applying from over 40, 50 countries, and the amount of requirements to submit one application is insanely high. Like, uh, for IMs, you have to give CAT, and then maybe if you get shortlisted, you get to an interview. But here, the amount of prerequisite material is immense. So the amount of people who are able to submit these applications are lower, but the quality of these applications are insanely good. Cannot specify this enough. Move on to the next slide. Yeah, so this is the map of the United States. As you can see, on the west coast, there's Stanford, and on the east coast, you have these six schools. I'd be heading to Columbia for my MBA most probably next year. Uh, but just giving you a lay of the land, on the west coast, you have schools like Stanford, Berkeley, who are more on the tech side. On the east coast, it's more like consulting and finance. So Harvard, MIT. MIT is also a bit more tech, but Harvard, Columbia, Wharton, finance heavy schools. Someone into consulting, Kellogg is more into consulting, Chicago Booth, another finance school. So I would highly recommend everyone to check out these seven schools, read a bit about them before you say, Ki, this is where I want to apply. Just to give you a lay of the land and to tell you that in the US, if you're looking for the best MBA programs, these are the seven that you need to definitely check out. And quite predominantly, if I say it out loud, they're probably the seven best MBA programs in the world as well. There are some schools in Europe that are extremely good, like NCR, London Business School, but it's generally, I think it's generally very different when you're applying to Europe. So again, it's where you want to be. As most of the Fortune 500 companies are headquartered in the US, and as MBA is about networking, most people tend to go for their MBA to the United States uh, because they get a chance to connect and work closely with such professionals right there and there. All right, now I want to move to the process. Just to ask from the SAC team, have we given an option to ask people questions? I can stop as well, because I don't want to just rush through this and then have we.
We'll open the floor for questions at the end of the presentation.
Cool. All right, Chetan. Okay. So what is the way to get into these schools? It's quite simple. There are two ways. One is the deferred path, which I took. Uh, you can apply in your final year with zero work-ex. It's way more selective. The number of people that get in are way fewer. But if you make it, you have a secured admission in a top business school. You can take all the career risks you want in the next 2 to 5 years while you work and then join. So for me, I got into Columbia in 2024. So after I started working, I could join CBS in 2026 to 2027, from 2026 to 2029, any year. So I could have joined this year, but I decided to defer it. Now I'm thinking of joining next year. So it's up to me. So this is the beauty of deferred MBA. And the MBAs that offer, the schools that offer deferred MBA are the M7s. That's it. No other schools offer deferred MBA. Yale is one more, but its deferred MBA program is a bit different, but it's with zero work-ex. So I mean, if you get into Yale, you join right away, and that MBA is for 3 years. So 1 year studies, then second year is of internship, third year you wrap it up with another year of studies, and then you're done. But for deferred MBA, particularly the M7 schools are there, and I'm telling you, it's very selective. If the class size is 900 kids, for an MBA, the deferred people would be about 50. The rest 850 are through the traditional path. So the traditional path is people work for 4 5 years, they apply, they get in, and they join their MBA right away. So deferred is more of a fast track method. Now, I think most of you would be aware about basketball. So basketball, there's this term known as free throws. Deferred MBA is a free throw. in my opinion. If you are someone who is 100% certain that at some point in my career I want to do an MBA, preferably from one of the best colleges in the world or in the United States, this is when you apply. Because the worst case is you won't get selected. That's fine, and that's not at all negative. That, and if you apply again, say after working for 3 4 years, the schools see it as a positive, that you were always focused on this thing, you were always attracted to their school, and you always wanted to go there, so it's not a negative. And if you get in, then of course you have a seat at one of the best MBA programs in the world. So I think it's a win-win. If you don't get selected, you at least know the process, you know what is needed, so you can plan better when you apply again. So I think this is something that needs to be very, very carefully thought of. If you are sure that you want to do an MBA from the US sometime in your life, you don't know when, you should apply. 100%. Its application fee is zero. So yeah, that's one thing. Second thing is, the traditional path is also something that you can look at. Let's say if someone is not very sure, yeah, I don't know if I want to do an MBA, so you can take your time, build your career, see the people, study about people, talk to people who have been through these programs, see where they are in their career right now. Then you could probably make more linkages and decide later. So both of these options work. Deferred MBA is more selective. It's harder to get into it because the application pool is extremely good. Like everyone is a topper on their college, gold medalist, and all of that. I was an exception. I didn't have a great CGPA, but I had other things that pushed me through, like my GMAT score and other application parts, which I'll get into later. But the application pool is phenomenal. If I talk about Columbia admits from India this year, most of them gold medalists in their college. And I'm not talking about random colleges, I'm talking about IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi. So it's highly selective, but I'll get into how you can make it in the coming slides. So hold on to your horses. So to create a linkage, the first question I asked everyone is, one, do I want to do an MBA? Two, do I want to do an MBA in India or abroad? Three, when should I apply? Should I apply in my final year, or should I wait for a few years and apply after I've worked for like 3 4 years at least? But I'm telling you, if you go for the traditional part, you have to at least work for like 4 years. Keep that in mind. Move to the next slide, please. All right. So now I'm going to get into the how. I've talked about the why. I want to talk about the how now. So there are 4 components that entail in any application: GMAT, GRE, of course, your academics in college, that's there. Essays that you have to write, letters of recommendation, and then the interview. So the process is pretty straightforward, but it's very tiring and long. I'm pretty sure that Arnav and Aditya will relate. Uh, so I'll first go on the requirements. GMAT/GRE. It's a must. You have to give them. It's not like the technical masters that you can decide to take them or don't take them. But for MBA, you have to. So now I'm going to talk from an angle that, let's say a kid has decided to apply. If I was in your position, I would probably get my GMAT out of the way in my 3rd year and say, okay, I'm applying. I'll give the GMAT, get the score, and be done with it. 3rd year is the best time. And if you're even in your 2nd year, maybe get it done now, because GMAT scores are valid for 5 years. So I don't know how long GRE is valid, maybe 5 years too, but GMAT, I know they are valid for 5 years. So if you're giving it in your 3rd year, it can be valid till say 3 years of your work ex. Or if you are giving it in your 4th year, even better, in your final year, then it will be valid up till 4 years of your work ex. And GMAT score is very important because this score is also one of the major factors on which your scholarship is decided if you get in. So extremely important. And being an Indian, you have to be in the 99 percentile. Not necessary, but if you're there, it is super helpful because most Indians are. Second thing is the essays. Every school has different set of questions. Like I really liked Stanford's essay, which were first question was what is the most important thing to you and why. Second is why Stanford. Very two simple questions, but they ask you to look deep beneath. Columbia's one question was what is the one impact that you have created in the community around you. So you have very leadership centric questions that come up in these essays. So uh, every school has different essays. You'll have to write them, get them reviewed by seniors like me or someone who has written a lot of essays, or some people work with consultants. I can share more about that over separate calls. Right now, I'm going to keep it to the top level. So, yeah, essays is very important. Third is letters of recommendation. 50% of a selection chance depends on these. Hands down, because everyone can say good things about themselves, but they cannot ask others to say good things about you, like forcefully, right? It's not possible. Another thing, I'll put it out there, if someone is thinking that I'll write my own LORs, and if some of your recommender is saying ki, you write your LOR, I'll just sign it, don't do it. Never works, you won't get it. They have been doing this for years now. So please make sure that the recommender writes your LOR and submits it. You should not be the one who's writing it. LORs have like 50% weightage. It's super important. So build amazing relationships with the people you work with and get them to write the letters of recommendations later on. For me, I was in CRC. Yeah, that's true enough. So when I was in CRC, it I got one LOR from Professor Naveen Singh, and second LOR was from my summer internship where I got a PPO. So my reporting manager wrote one, and one was from Dr. Naveen Singh. So one academic, one professional. Well, I didn't have any academic, so my was more leadership centric. But people get academic LORs. If you have a SOP, LOP where you have done extremely well, you get it published. That's the kind of thing you would want, right? The professor to say, "ऐसा काम किसी ने आज तक नहीं करा." These are the words that you need in your LORs. This is the best intern I've ever had. He created a system, she created a system that has never been thought of. Like LORs have sentences like these, at least for business schools. Let's say there was a boardroom where people are thinking about ideas. Then, say, Ritiien gets up, takes the marker, and jots down the points and creates a flowchart. Leadership, leadership centric. MBA, absolutely leadership centric. How can you take charge? How can you drive change? MBA schools, business schools are looking for future leaders. They want people who can drive change, create impact in the world. So if you cannot create an impact in your surroundings, in college, in work, you cannot do it in the long run as well. So they look for these traits of leadership. And these are the sentences that come up in your essays, that come up in your LRs, that sets you apart. Absolutely. If you're able to submit all of this, the LORs, the essay, the GRE, GMAT score, whatever, there's no preference between GMAT and GRE. Give whatever works best for you. Best way to decide is give the mock test for GMAT, give the mock test for GRE, whichever makes you feel that this is something I can do that. Although I gave GMAT because I am not very good with vocabulary. GRE has a vocabulary section. I was better with analytical stuff. So I went ahead with GMAT. If you make it through all of that, you submit and you're invited for an interview. So there's a first level of filter. They go through the applications. And if you're amongst the select few, you get invited for an interview. The interview is one-on-one with someone from the admission committee or uh, or an alumni. So there are two kind of people who take interviews. And then that interview happens. It's quite personal, quite leadership centric. Let's say if you tell me a time when someone in your team that you were leading denied or didn't agree with you, how did you resolve a dispute? They're very situation centric. So they're going to ask you, they're going to put you in positions where you're leading an XYZ organization, an XYZ association, कि अगर ऐसा होता तो तुम क्या करते, in a very layman term. So interviews are there. It's not very difficult. They're not as grilling as what I would say an IM interview, because again requirements are different. But it's very, very intrinsic to what you have written in your essays. They're going to deep dive into you. If you crack the interview, you get it. So it's a two-step process. All right, I'll talk a bit about timelines later, but move on to the next slide. Yeah. So the narrative is very important. Like what you're doing in college right now should be aligned with what your immediate post college goal is. And let's say, I'll take an example. Let's say I want to join BCG right after college. So no, I'll move with a bit niche. BCG is quite common. Let's say I want to join Schlumberger after college. I'm into energy totally. It's fine to do an MBA. It's never written कि आपको you have to just do finance consulting. You can do anything. Just be the best at it. But so let's say I want to get into the energy sector. I'll talk about my profile. I was the president of American Institute of Chemical Engineers. So I had a technical POR where we did a lot of stuff. I was in CRC, which is the Corroboration and Review Committee. We managed finances for the fest. So that was the financial angle. So it gave me a business outlook. Then I was fortunate enough to become the global chairman for the International Finance Student Association. So I was managing IFSA's operations across 9 countries. So BITS Pilani chapter, I was the vice president then, and then I was the global chair. So I was looking at multiple chapters like BITS Pilani. So these positions gave them an angle for leadership, administrative work, managing stakeholders, and technical side as well. So my profile was a mix of all three, very leadership centric. So I got the Schlumberger job. So I told them in my essays, ki boss, I want to get into energy. I want to get into an intersection of energy and business. That's why I'm doing an MBA. So मैंने बहुत ही technical role ले लिया in Schlumberger, field engineer. So if you join Schlumberger, you are telling them that I want to be in the tech side, but with an MBA, I'll switch to tech plus strategy. So that was my story. So energy, right after that, engineering, technical, hands-on job. Once I joined the MBA at Columbia, Harvard, whatever, I'll switch to strategy right after my MBA. And then I'll start my own company in clean energy because MBA will give me business tools. My job at Schlumberger will give me technical knowledge, and I'm already an engineer. So you have to link what you want to do post MBA with the job that you have right now post college and the kind of things you did in college. It's a story. To just be honest, and honestly speaking, if I talk to Arnav, he was always into F1. Like I remember, even when we had conversations in our second year, he was very much into cars. He's ending up doing what he loved. He ended up in that position, right? So you have to do what you like in a nutshell. And if you don't know what you like, you have to try different things. And you'll eventually figure it out. The time is less, I know. But if you segregate things into tech, business, finance, uh, masters, or say AI at this point, there's so many sectors. Look at the various sectors, link 2, 3, join clubs that are working in that sector. See if you like it. If you like it, great. Become the president of that association. That's how you build a story. Think like this. All right. I'll move to the next one. Next slide now. Because I think question answers are more important in my session, especially. Okay, the special sauce, how to stand out. I think in one line, if I can explain this, is be authentic. I had the lowest CGPA who got selected across India for Deferred. And I'm talking about people who got into Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, Columbia, Booth, Kellogg, and I had the lowest CGPA. It's something that's weird. I had a 7.7. By the way, it was not that low in bits context, but it's very, very low if I talk about deferred MBA. People had GPAs of 9.8, 9.7. 9 plus is minimum, 8.5 is low. So I was super low. But the one thing that helps you stand out anywhere is how are you unique? What's your USP? What is something that you have done that no one has done? So for me, my source was my leadership. So when I was in CRC, we digitalized the entire cab booking process. Now, these days, you guys just go to the SU app, book it, right? It was not there when I was there in that position. We had to digitalize it. So things like these end up being stories in your applications. Um, when I was chairing IFSA, I was the first Asian ever in the history of IFSA to become the global chair. Uh, first Asian guy. So in the 10, 12 year history. So things like these made me stand out. Even though I had a lower CGPA, I compensated it with my GMAT score plus my leadership things. And of course, my internships. Internships play a critical part. So I had interns in EY, KPMG, Schlumberger, Geo Hotstar. I even did a VC stint at Campus Fund, which is famous VC fund. And what else? This was all. So it's difficult to find time to do internships. I completely agree with Arnav, and of course Aditya would have mentioned something similar as well. But try and find time if you are looking to go big with respect to business schools, MBA. Find internships and PORs, and your CG. Three things. They need to be great. I was also a part of the BITS hockey team, which I just played to be written. Right? Yeah, I was part of the hockey team, so I ended up playing Boston. We lost horribly because I was in the team, but I just made it to practice every day just to be in that team because I knew having a full faceted resume for me was super important because I was not the 9.8 guy. I was never the 9.8 guy. I was not even the 9 CG guy. I hardly made it to 8. So for me, it was super important to be the guy who was good at everything else. So I had done a lot of stuff in the organizations I worked. I had done a lot of stuff in the clubs I led. I did a lot of stuff in, I even took up a LOP to get an LOR. That didn't work, but anyways. So I tried so many things to find that niche. So if in a nutshell, I give you one advice is to be good at whatever you want to do. Someone might be interested in AI. Join the AI club, do some kick-ass projects with some professors, publish it. That's fine. I know a senior who got into Kellogg last year from BITS Goa, 1 year before me. So her profile was she did MSc Bio plus I think ENI. So she was more into neuroscience. So she said, my goal is to link neuroscience with business. Uh, and her lops and sops, whatever, were very, very centric to, you know, the research work she was trying to accomplish because she was genuinely interested in that. So follow what you like. If someone's interested in coding, sure, go into coding. Like build an app, build a website, build something unique. If you're interested in social impact, start an NGO, but do something that has never been done before. Be unique, do your thing. So that's the goal of standing out. Find your niche and do something big in it that will help you with your profile. Great acads is always the key. Crack the GMAT beforehand and you're sorted. It's not very difficult. It looks like a mountain, but if you take it step by step, it's absolutely doable. If honestly I can do it, most people can do it. It's no rocket science. I mean, in chemical only, we had Arnav, Aditya Bansal, another guy who ended up in Cornell. We had so many great people, different profiles, different stories, different approaches to life, and they all made it because it's doable. Not geniuses here. Everyone's very average. They just knew what they liked. So figure that out. Can we move to the next slide, please? Yeah, red flags, of course. So, fun thing is talk to a lot of people. If you want to go for deferred, figure out the M7 schools, speak to alums, speak to people. You can talk to me, you can talk to others who have made it, uh, about the process, about their experience. It will give you different perspectives. uh, don't write your essays with AI. All my essays were handwritten. Not even a single line word came from AI. I didn't even rephrase it, to be honest, because there's no point. They know. uh, don't build a skeletal resume. I have seen people in our college do this. They will join every club. It's and it's fine, join. They will become the president or vice president of a club. They won't do any work there. They'll just take the POR and they'll write, okay, I was the president of, say, Wall Street. I did XYZ, I did the report, blah blah blah, but they did nothing. Don't be that guy. Try not. If you are that guy, you won't get in. I can guarantee that right now. It's not possible, because your interviews, your essays are stories. I'll give you an example. In my fourth year, I contested elections. Me, even after being in CRC, I just thought I'll do something interesting. So, sports hostel representative, there's this thing in college. So, in the VK Bhavan, I contested elections. There were two people who contested elections, me and a second yearite. And I was extremely scared that whatever second yearite beats me in a fourth year hostel. That didn't happen. I eventually won. But everyone was like, Ritiien, why you're doing it? I just thought it would be cool to have cool thing. I would try something new. I joined as an HSR in VK Bhavan. There, I created a system of sports equipment issuance. We got about 30,000 worth of equipment. Still remember this. It was quite random. One day we just thought, because I wanted to play cricket in the QT and we didn't have bats. So I thought, what if other people also want to do this? So we just went, spoke to the warden, wrote a letter, got 25,000 worth of equipments from the hostel budget that was anyways going waste. We got the equipments, created an issuance system, and people started using it. And that was one of my essay paragraphs, which I wrote for Harvard. So it's, you don't know what helps you when. So just do things that you really like and take charge. Like in my interview, I was super bad at hockey, but in my Columbia interview, my interviewer was more interested about what I learned playing in a hockey team in comparison to what I learned being the global chairman of the International Finance Student Association. So you don't know. Try to do random things that you are interested in, but whatever you do, be on top of it, be totally dedicated to it, and take charge. So that's my advice to you. Create impact. With whatever you're doing, create impact. That's the blueprint to success in any application, be it MBA, be it technical, be it anything. I think, yeah, that was the last slide. So happy to take questions. I know this is a lot of information to take in, and I appreciate everyone listening properly. I hope so. I'll drop in my LinkedIn maybe so that you can reach out to me. But ask me any question. It's fine. Even if you feel it's dumb, I don't care. Just ask me any question. I'll be happy to answer. No questions are dumb. That's it.
Thank you for the detailed insight, Ritiien. We have a few questions from our attendees for both you and Arnav. The first question is for Ritiien. For students here who might be interested considering a long-term path that includes an MBA, what are the few things they should start doing during their time at BITS to build a strong profile?
Okay. So it depends on which year you're in. Did the question mention which year?
Uh, I don't think it mentions that right here.
Okay. So I would recommend getting into all sorts of clubs initially. Like I joined one for social impact, which was NSS. Then I joined AICHE. Then I joined IFSA. And I dropped a couple here and there because I realized कि यहाँ पे I cannot create impact. I won't be the best person. Like one technical example was I joined IICHE and AICHE, both of them. I didn't know what to do. But being in AICHE gave me a way to connect with folks outside India, as that was my goal. So I dropped IICHA because that was very Indian for me, to stay in a very domestic circuit. So I dropped that. So I would recommend join different types of organizations that you might be interested in. Once you're in that organization, figure out if that organization can help you reach the next level. Like when I joined IFSA, I knew that I have a chance to speak with branches from outside India and potentially end up in leadership positions like Asia head, Europe head, outreach head, whatever. I ended up being the global chair. That was a very separate story, but I was in that position because I applied to IFSA. So I would recommend joining different facets. Second thing would be never leave your acats. Everyone says it and it's hard to follow. I get it, but please focus on your acats. Uh, it's very difficult to make it otherwise. Exceptions are rare. Third thing would be look for good internships. One of the initial thoughts here is talk to your family. A lot of time you have some dur ka chacha, mama, bhanja, whatever, who is in a company that you might not be aware of and ends up giving you a position. I got EY because of that. I didn't know someone in my family was a director there, and they gave me an internship. Second internship I got was because I had interned in EY, so I got KPMG. Now because I had EY and KPMG, I got my SI. So it's a cascading effect. So internships, acads, and different type of organizations. And last point is for an MBA, ask yourself if you really want to do it. And if the answer is yes, start looking for leadership positions. Become the senator of college. Join a committee. Lead one of the badass clubs in college. And if you cannot get in, start one. So change the path. That's my recommendation.
Thank you for the answer. The next question is for Arnav. Could you please tell us how you first became interested in motorsport engineering while at BITS and what led you to pursue it seriously as a master's program?
Okay. So motorsport and automotive like started way back for me. I'll say when I was in seventh, eighth class, and it's just because like just became obsessed with Formula One and different types of rallying and these types of different fields. Initially, was just a childhood infatuation that okay, it's cool, cars go fast, yeah, I like that. But when you go into college, you realize that okay, this is I can make this. Like this is all just logical and technical. I can do this. So that started in when I joined when I was doing my JE and bit shit I forgot the bit sentence's name. But basically it started then. Then I figured out that was during the COVID times. So I figured out all the FS teams in the colleges that I was getting. Bits had an FS team. Unfortunately, it collapsed during the COVID times and all of that, so couldn't do that. There was a team called Baha, which had transitioned into IKEA Gravity, which was a boon in my bits time. What happened is like there were two seniors from 2018 batch who were trying to revive this Baha team because they were a part of it. While they were in their fourth year and COVID was going on, we made a full-fledged rover in Vadodara in one of the seniors' homes. We stayed there for 2 months in his house, made the entire rover. Were supposed to go to NASA, but again due to COVID, the competition became remote. But that fueled something. That fueled that making something tangible, making a project, making a car is simpler than you think. It's just you need to be in touch with your technical capabilities. That happened. Then we continued that run into when we came into bits. In my third year, we actually ended up going to NASA. There were six of us. We went there. We won an award there. Was an entire story. Probably highlight of my bitsian time. That happened. That gave me then the benefit that okay, I have these things in my resume. Let me look at what are careers as a motorsport. What can I pursue? Found this degree in Cranfield. Figured out it's the one university in the UK where motorsport is the core. If you don't know, James Vowles and Toto Wolff are alumni of Cranfield. So figured that out, figured that this is the way. Let's hop in there. Applied there, got into touch with professors, saw what I can do, got in touch with alumni, see what the degree is all about, and figured out that this is the best for me. And it ended up being the best for me because it's a very technical course for 1 year, riddled with the technology and practical experiences that you won't get ever before. We did wind tunnel tests, we did rally tests, we did vehicle dynamic racetrack tests. All of that then just kept compounding over onto each other, and we ended up in the end where I was like, yes, this is what I want to make. I still came with an open mind that hey, maybe I do a motorsports degree, maybe I don't like it, right? I came in with an open mind, but ended up liking it, did everything. Right now, I did my thesis with Mercedes, which was a more of an exposure where I was working on hydrogen combustion engines. That worked out. Then, unfortunately, they couldn't offer me a job, as I said, just because of my visa issues. So, there's this company called Fuse Energy, which was working on hydrogen fuel cells and was working on batteries for Toyota Gazoo Racing. So, I joined them in London. They were paying pretty well compared to other motorsport companies. So that was a big bonus, which made me move to London. I wasn't in London before, but I'm not. If you see in a broad perspective, I'm not in core motorsports right now. I'm in a supplier side. So it's just about a technical challenge. For me, at least, it was that wherever I filed that technical ick, that okay, here I'm getting to do something which is unique, which is I need to lead on it. I can do it. And that was my thing for motorsport because living in India, you can almost guess that nobody thinks about motorsport as a career just because it's seen as something out of reach. But I made it. There's a batchmate of ours from same batch, Aditya and Sridhar, and he made it in the same university. He's currently working at Honda Racing Super World Superbike in UK with alongside me. There's another guy who was from 2018 bits who did the same masters as me in the same year. He's currently working at Jaguar Formula E. It's very doable. It's just when you come out, you see that you have access to everything and anything that you put your mind to. Like Ritiien said, that all of us are people, and all of these jobs, in the end, somebody's gonna do them, right? So that someone can be us. Why not? So that becomes the main point.
Thank you for the detailed answer. Moving on, we have a question for both of you. Could you elaborate a little more on the interview process and also when you should start applying for visas?
Okay.
I'll start with the interview one, and then I think Arnav can follow. I haven't applied for my visa yet because I have to go next year, so Arnav can take that more. US is anyways a very difficult it's a very difficult spot right now. But yeah, talking about my interview process in for B schools, it's very resume centric. They're going to ask you what you did, why you did it, and what was the highlight of that thing you did. So, in a very nutshell, the second type of questions they ask you is situation based. Like my one question that I was asked was about if someone in your team had a dispute with someone else, how would you deal with it? Another question was if people in your team do not align with the vision you've set for the next couple of years, how will you deal with that? So they're very situation centric, and the best way to answer them is when you go through it. That's why I mentioned the importance of being in leadership positions, because when you're leading people in your own batch, let's say you're the president, your wingy is the vice president, how do you deal with that dynamic? Because they are friends, right? But having the capability to drive the organization despite having such relationships is what college PORs teach you. So that's that. Second thing is it could be anything, your hobbies. So the guy was a football fan. He was a German who who interviewed me, and I messed up at one place because his favorite team was Bayern, and Bayern Leverkusen won that Bundesliga that year. So I was like, how was Bundesliga? I forgot. that Bayern Munich lost this season. So sometimes you have to be a bit aware. So MBA interviews, may they tell you a day before who is going to interview you. So please look at their LinkedIn, and if they mention something about their interests, do read about it. So yeah, that's it. Interview is the easier part for B schools. The harder part is the applications. That's what I would say.
And coming on to the second bit, that like building onto a bit on that, is that again, like he said, interview is the second part. They've already processed you to the interview, right? So that means they like your profile. Now you just need to double down on it and say that, okay, yeah, there you go, this is me, right? Okay, coming on to the visa part, I can talk about the UK. You Once you get your admission letter, all the admission letters from UK are provisional. What that means is that you need to pay a deposit of some, I think for me it was £1,000. You need to pay that deposit to secure your seat. Once you secure your seat, you receive a CAS letter, which is basically a no objection admission granted letter. Once you receive that letter, you should ideally, if your master's is starting in September, you should aim to start your visa application by around maximum May, because sometimes okay, very oddly, the blocker in your visa application is going to be bits. So really think about that. For UK visas, you need a provisional degree, which bits won't grant you unless you are graduated. And even when you're graduated, getting a provisional degree is a pain. Make sure if you have a UK admission, you talk to someone while on campus in person. Talk to Naveen Singh. I don't know who the leaders are right now, but at least in my time, talk to Naveen Singh, talk to Chief Warden, talk to head of academic relations. I think it was Sachin Belgumbar at when I was there. Talk to these guys in person. Make sure that your case is set, that your provisional degree will be granted to you as soon as you need it. As soon as you are out of bits in May, immediately reach out. Say that once the final semester results are out, tell that I need to apply for my visa. Please give me my provisional degree certificate. Mine was delayed until the last minute because of all of these issues. I got my provisional degree in July first week. I sent it to Cranfield. I got my no objection certificate admission letter in mid July. I applied for visa then, and from around it took 3 weeks. So still safe. I needed to leave in September, and I got my visa mid August. Still fine, but a bit too close for my comfort. So make sure that you've figured this out. Other than that, visa process is quite easy. You need to show your funding capability, parents' bank accounts, FDs, all of these things work. You need to show, like, obviously your passport, your admission letter, you need to give your transcript. Uh, Transcript, you need to have a proper bits transcript. You can ask them for it. That's quite easy. You can just download it from the website also, I think. So you need that. You need your degree certificate. And yeah, that's mostly about it. Like, and then you just go about your visa application pretty straight. Don't hire an agent. Don't hire anyone. They're just gonna siphon you for money. It's all a scam. Visa processes are very straightforward. Do not hire any agent. If anything, reach out to a senior. Reach out to us. We can help you in it. But trust me, for any visas at any point in your life, you do not need an agent. They're only gonna do what you can do yourself, and it's going to be fine. Unless it's US tourist visas, and I don't know about the student visa situation. It can be a bit tricky because the waiting times are too much. So these guys have some bought up slots which they can put you in. So US is a different case, but for UK and Europe, you don't need an agent. Visa processes are quite simply linear. And one more thing I would like to add, I don't know if anybody has asked that as question. Building on to what Ritiien is doing, there is a degree in the UK called Masters in Management, MIM. I would strongly discourage everybody from pursuing that if you're thinking of it. It is not something, it is, you'll see that big colleges advertise it, like colleges like Imperial, London School of Business, LSE, these advertise it. It's it's not good. I wouldn't like to go into the details, but discourage yourself from pursuing that. I'm working at a company now. I know I do a bit of recruitments. It's straight orders from above. Don't take people from MIM. That comes for because of a reason. Don't do it. If you get an MBA, lovely, great. That's the best in the class. MIM only do one. If you come from a family of wealth, go for it. It's very useful if you come from a family of wealth because they have family business courses and relations. It's if you have a family business, it's going to be monumental for you. But if you're purely trying to do a MB management degree and get a job, not the thing for you. Avoid doing that. And I think Ritiien probably has more knowledge on this. He can share it probably.
Okay, before we move to the next question, I would like to add something here is that I absolutely agree with Arnav. MIMs are for people who have 0 to 2 years of experience. So you'll be spending what, 2 CR for a degree that will basically have kids from colleges who have just graduated. They'll 30-40% would be smart, 60% would be from very wealthy families. So it's not recommended unless you have like a family business and you want to go for a 2 years MIM program, and after that you just want to join your family business. That makes sense. Few people are able to get the best possible jobs, and here I'm talking about NCR, London Business School, HEC Paris. It's MIM is a very European concept. Uh, it's in UK and it's in France. Mostly UK has a very depth of people who go for MIMs. In US, it's MBAs only. Only Chicago booth has an MIM program, but it was started last year only. And I would highly recommend to go for MIMs if you have a financial backing कि तुम्हारी जॉब नहीं लगी तो तुम्हारे पास बफर है कुछ करने का, in a very very simple language. MBAs are more reliable because there the employment rate is 99%. In MIMs, I don't know, they don't release it. Maybe for a reason. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a very stark difference in fees. Like I did a full master's with everything included. My cost for an entire month, like this, I'm saying like tuition, living, visa, everything, 40 lakhs start. Everything was done. And I had a scholarship, so I effectively only paid around 18 lakhs. London Business School MIM fees is £80,000. That's just the tuition cost. On top of that, you include living, tuition, your social life, everything goes over 1 crore for 1 year. If you have that much kind of dough, you want to spend it. If you feel like that degree is going to give you benefit in your family business, please go for it. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But just like if you're just a student looking for getting ahead in your career, think about it.
Thank you for the detailed insights that both of you shared. And we now come here to the end of the talk. I hope today's conversation has helped many of you gain a clearer perspective on what pursuing higher studies can look like and how you might begin thinking about your own paths. On behalf of the Students Academic Cellbits Pilani, thank you all once again for being a part of this session. We wish our speakers the very best for their journeys ahead. Have a great evening, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Best of luck. And all what we have shared are our personal opinions. So don't post us. Anyway, that's all. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
All
And
right,
Arnav,
guys.
let's catch up, man. Apart
Yep,
from
man. Yep, I'll give
okay.
you a text right now.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, guys. Bye bye.
See you
Thanks.
guys. Have a good one.